Hello my crafty and interactive card fans. Welcome back to the MFT YouTube channel. I'm stopping in today to share an interactive project that I created using the Twist and Turn Dynamics, and I've paired it with the You Keep Me Afloat stamp set and coordinating dies. When I tug on the pull tab, it looks like that sweet fishing bunny is attempting to rescue the floating bunny. It was super fun to create, and I can't wait to show you how I did it. I started by ink blending some Summer Splash, Caribbean Sea, and Something Blue dye inks onto a smooth white panel using the Wavy Line stencil. I just moved the stencil around to distribute the different colors and get that glistening ocean look. Then I used the mini cloud edges and Summer Splash ink to create some clouds and some Lemon Drop to create the sun rising in the horizon. I used the Ocean Waves Dynamics to cut two wavy oceans. Off camera, I stamped, colored, and die cut the images from the You Keep Me Afloat stamp set to finish off my scene. For the twist and turn mechanism, I die cut two of the pull tabs and two of each of the linkages. I like to layer these interactive pieces because this helps stabilize the mechanism when it's being activated over and over. I'm using my tape runner to adhere the two pull tab die cuts together, making sure to align the pre-cut holes. And then I'll do the same thing with each of the linkages. Once they're adhered together, you should have three linkages for a mechanism. Two with three pre-cut holes in them, and one with two pre-cut holes. I'll start assembling my mechanism by attaching one of the linkages with three holes to the back of the left end of the pull tab with a mini brad. And then I'll attach the second three-hole linkage to the other hole in the pull tab, again using a mini brad. Lastly, I'll attach the two three-hole linkages to both ends of the two-hole linkage using more mini brads. And as I often mention when I'm assembling my projects, my pretty manicured nails sure look good, but boy are they a nuisance when I'm trying to work with the tiny elements of my card. Okay, before we start finalizing the layout of my card, I like to position each of the pieces onto the main image panel so that I can make sure that everything will fit just how I envision it. I also like to hide my interactive mechanisms, and it looks like everything is going to work out just as I had hoped. I'll build my mechanism onto another panel that I've trimmed to the same size as my ink blended panel. I've temporarily taped the two wavy panels together, and I'll position them at the bottom of the white panel to help me position the mechanism. Once I've temporarily positioned the mechanism in place with some washi tape, I'll use my pencil to draw the two holes from the mechanism onto the white panel. And then I'll position the hole die over those two dots and die cut them off camera. And now that the holes are die cut, I can attach my assembled mechanism to the panel using two more mini brads. And once again, my stinking nails get in the way of me assembling things as quickly as I'd like. Ugh. But a quick tug of that pull tab shows me that things are coming along nicely. So far, so good. But I missed capturing on video a few important steps. When I positioned the ink blended panel on top of the white panel, I rubbed my fingers over those two brads to help transfer the impression onto the ink blended panel. I positioned the 1/2-inch hole cutting die over those two impressions, and I die cut it off camera. Hopefully, this doesn't mess you up if you're trying to recreate this project for yourself. Okay, now that the mechanism is attached, I want to make sure that it doesn't over-rotate. So I'm placing some pieces of foam tape to the bottom left and above the pull tab to the right edge. This will keep the mechanism from over-rotating in either direction. I've added a double layer of foam squares to the back of the ink blended panel in areas that won't interfere with the action of the mechanism, and I'm adhering the ink blended panel to the white mechanism panel. I'm using my scissors to trim the back white panel so that it's just slightly smaller than the ink blended panel. I like to do this so that the other panel doesn't show once everything is assembled. I've adhered strips of 1/4-inch double-sided tape to the back of the white panel, and I'll adhere that to an A2 horizontal top-folding snow cone card base. You'll notice that I folded the release paper from the double-sided tape halfway back to use as handles to help me position the panel onto the card base. Once it's in place, I can just pull on those handles for perfect placement. I love sharing little tips like this in the hopes that you find them helpful too. Okay, using the provided donut die from the Twist and Turn Dynamics, I die cut several, what I like to call donuts, from smooth white cardstock, and I've adhered 5 layers together with my liquid glue pen. You can make these stacked donut die cuts as tall as you'd like, but it's important to make them tall enough that you can adhere your moving critters to them. And you can see here that I'm adhering the stacked donut die cuts through the holes in the ink blended panel and over the top of the brad heads with some strong liquid glue. I've added some thin 3D foam squares to the backs of the 2 wave die cuts. I'll adhere the 2 layers together and then adhere them to the ink blended panel. And while I do that, I wanted to remind you to always look at all of your stamp sets to see where an interactive mechanism can be added. Doing this really makes your stamp sets more versatile, whether they're old or new. I'm just about ready to adhere those sweet bunnies to my little scene, but I want to make sure that they pop off the page in a way where they can still move but stay attached to the mechanism. So I added some foam squares to the top of those donut pieces. As long as your donut pieces are tall enough, the foam squares won't interfere with the movement of the mechanism. I adhered the head of the floating bunny to the left donut, and I kind of slipped his floaty behind the front wave. Then I'll adhere the fishing bunny to the other donut and offset him just a tad to give the appearance that he's trying to throw that fishing line to his friend. Things are really starting to come together now. Off camera, I stamped one of the sentiments from the You Keep Me Afloat stamp set onto some snow cone cardstock. I heat embossed it with white embossing powder and die cut it with the Fishtail Foundation Sentiment Strips Dynamics. I added some foam squares to the back of the strip and I've adhered it to the top of the image panel. I love the sweetness of the images from the You Keep Me Afloat stamp set. Perhaps you have someone in your life that has rescued you a time or two and could use a sweet card like this. I've listed all of the MFT products that I used for this project below in the description box. Thanks so much for watching and have a wonderful day.